At the company party, my girlfriend, Emily, was talking in French with a classmate from her studies in France, a guy named Ben. Ben asked her in French, "If I had come back to the country with you back then, would you have been my wife by now?" Emily replied without hesitation, "Yes." She thought I didn't understand French. What she didn't know was that in order to visit her in France, I had worked hard to learn French. But every time I suggested going to see her, she rejected me, forbidding me from coming. I watched them, raised my glass, and fluently wished them well in French. "Then I'll wish both of you a lifetime of happiness." Emily was shocked. "You speak French?" I finished my drink and smiled. "I learned it the first year you went abroad. I just never had a chance to use it before, and I won't need it again in the future." Emily looked worried. Emily was chatting fluently in French with her classmate while carefully feeding me fruit. She didn't even notice my slightly swollen eyes. She thought I didn't understand French, so she could talk freely with her old flame in front of me. What she didn't realize was that over the years, I had learned several languages to stay on the same wavelength with her. I had mastered 5 foreign languages. Even her casual French conversations with Ben, her old lover, I understood perfectly. I pretended not to understand and asked her, "What are you two talking about?" She chuckled lightly and half-heartedly told me, "What else would we talk about besides work? Just work." They went from discussing relationships to astronomy, talking animatedly. And as for me, she was dismissive and impatient. I shared the sunset with her, and she called it utterly boring. But she praised the stray cat that Ben had taken a photo of, chatting about it for an entire hour. She had been deceiving me like I was a fool all this time, and I had deceived her about one thing. A month later, I would be sent on a confidential overseas assignment to Country A. No matter what Emily did, she wouldn't be able to find me. I looked at this girl I had loved for 20 years. She still had the same expression, the same features, but she had completely become someone I didn't recognize. Suddenly, I found it all so meaningless. I didn't want to keep playing this game with her. I made an excuse to go back to work, stood up, and as I did, Emily stood up at the same time. She said, "Let's call it a day. I'll go back with my husband to help him with work." The classmates groaned. "We've barely started catching up. Why leave so soon?" Ben echoed, "Exactly. We rarely get to meet. Can't you stay a little longer?" I saw Emily's reluctant expression, smiled lightly, and pretended to be casual. "You stay here and enjoy your time with them. I can go back alone." Without waiting for her response, I let go of her hand and walked out of the room. After leaving the room, I got into the car and was about to start the engine when I realized the hangover medicine I had prepared for Emily was still in my pocket. She had a poor tolerance for alcohol, and I was worried she might drink too much. I still wanted to hand her the medicine personally. I got out of the car and went back to the room. At the door, I could hear the sounds of teasing and laughter coming from inside. By some strange impulse, I pushed the door open a crack and saw Emily and Ben's lips pressed together, separated only by a thin sheet of paper. Emily's delicate face flushed slightly, while Ben's eyes were filled with desire. Amid the teasing voices, the thin piece of paper between them had fallen at some point. Ben moved his hand to the back of her head, deepening the kiss. My breath caught in my throat, and my heart felt as if it were being squeezed by a large hand, an overwhelming pain surging through me. A voice in the crowd called out, "Emily, aren't you afraid Chris will find out?" Emily broke away from the kiss and chuckled. "No, he trusts me so much, he'll never suspect anything. And besides, he won't find out about us. Ben and I speak French when we talk, and he doesn't understand." "Well, you two sure know how to play. I thought you and Chris were all about pure love. Didn't expect you to fall first." Emily tilted her head back and finished the drink in her glass. "I still love him, but I can't just love him. After so many years of facing the same person, you get tired of it. What I'm doing is understandable. As long as it's well hidden and he never finds out, everything will be fine." Her words pushed the atmosphere to its peak, and someone suggested playing truth or dare. Each person took turns spinning the beer bottle on the table. Whoever the bottle pointed to had to tell a truth. After several rounds, it finally landed on Emily. One of the classmates asked maliciously, "You and Ben were together abroad for 3 years? Did you develop real feelings for him?" Emily smiled and answered without hesitation, "I truly loved him." The classmate continued, "So, who do you love more, Chris or Ben?" Emily lowered her gaze, drank from her glass, but her eyes never left Ben. The answer was ambiguous. Standing outside the door, I watched everything unfold. My heart felt like it was being torn apart, as if a bloody hole had been ripped open and blood was pouring out. I thought back to 8 years ago when I married Emily. She had a flawless makeup look, wearing a white wedding dress, holding a bouquet of flowers, slowly walking toward me. Her lips curled into a warm smile, and the shallow dimples on her cheeks looked especially sweet. At that moment, I felt like I had won the world. I held her hand tightly, raised it high, and joyfully announced to the guests that I had finally married the girl I loved the most. At that time, she also shed tears, responding to me with a promise to love me for a lifetime. But in just 8 short years, the girl who made me feel like I had won the world had now made me lose everything. I didn't want to watch any longer, so I turned and walked away. As I turned, I ran into a server coming in with more drinks. I put a finger to my lips, signaling him to stay quiet. "My wife is inside, cheating. I'm looking for evidence. Please don't tell them I was here." The server, a young man just starting his career, looked at me with a gaze full of sympathy. Men really do understand men more. After confirming he wouldn't speak out, I felt a little more at ease and left. I wiped away a tear from the corner of my eye with the back of my hand, composed myself, and walked out. I got back in the car, started the engine, and drove to the courtyard where Emily and I had grown up. After things got better, everyone gradually moved away. The empty courtyard now felt cold and desolate. I sat on the doorstep, staring blankly for a long, long time. In a daze, I seemed to see that girl with pigtails holding my face, making a lifetime promise. She said, "I'll only love Chris in this life." She said, "Chris, we have to stay together forever. I can't live without you. Emily, those who break promises must be punished, and so I'll punish you. In 1 month, you'll never see me again." I stayed in the courtyard until late at night before heading home. I opened the door, and the house was pitch black. I glanced at my phone. No new messages. I gave a self-deprecating smile and turned off the phone. Turning around, I went to the bathroom to shower, then comfortably lay in bed, drifting into a half-asleep state. In the middle of the night, I felt the bed sink on the other side, and someone tightly hugged me from behind. Emily reeked of alcohol and said in a hoarse voice, "I'm sorry. I haven't seen them in so long. I got a little carried away and drank too much." I spoke in a flat tone and asked her, "Why didn't you have me come pick you up?" She hugged me even tighter. "Ben lives nearby, so he just gave me a ride home. I didn't want to disturb your rest, so I didn't call you." I hummed in acknowledgement, not wanting to continue the conversation. I pried her hands off and turned over to sleep in a different position, but found that she had already fallen asleep. Her eyes were tightly shut, and there were still glaring kiss marks on her neck. The red marks pulsed in time with her heartbeat, as if Ben was silently challenging me. I couldn't sleep anymore. I got up and went to the living room to light a cigarette. As the smoke filled the air, I instinctively stubbed it out. Emily had severe rhinitis and couldn't stand the smell of smoke. I, a smoker with 10 years of experience, had forced myself to quit. But now, I didn't want to quit anymore. Emily, you're not worth me doing that for you. I leaned against the couch, lighting one cigarette after another. I thought back to my university days when a girl had relentlessly pursued me. Emily, upon finding out, deliberately put on exquisite makeup and held my hand as we walked back and forth along the path the girl took after class. She arrogantly claimed me as hers, declaring loudly to the girl, "Chris is my boyfriend, and he will be my husband in the future. You'll never have a chance." Back then, she was beautiful, bright, lively, and full of vitality that could infect everyone around her. Who wouldn't have liked her? But the girl who used to only have eyes for me seemed to have disappeared at some point. Now she had shed her youthful naivety, becoming mature and composed, full of charm, but no longer had the passion or the genuine love she once had for me. The next morning, I was woken up by noises coming from the kitchen. I opened my eyes and saw Emily wearing an apron, busy cooking. My heart skipped a beat. In my memory, Emily had never stepped into the kitchen in all the years we'd been married. I knew she had delicate skin and couldn't bear the smell of oil fumes, so I had always prevented her from cooking. Had she realized her guilt and was trying to make up for it in this way? As I was thinking this, I got up, put on my shoes, and stepped over the cigarette butts scattered on the floor, heading straight to the kitchen. By the time I entered, she had already put the steaming seafood congee into a thermos. When she saw me, she barely lifted her eyes but didn't stop her movements. "You're awake. Why did you sleep on the couch last night? I'm heading out for a bit." Ben drank too much last night. I'm going to take him some congee for his stomach." Perhaps realizing something was off, she glanced at the empty pot and apologized. "It's my first time making congee, and it seems like I didn't make enough. Just eat what you can." Without waiting for my response, she walked out of the kitchen. But when her eyes landed on the cigarette butts on the living room floor, she stopped in her tracks. She turned around, her gaze filled with an emotion I couldn't quite understand. "Chris, didn't I tell you before? I don't like you smoking. You don't listen to me. Well, I'm going to punish you. For the next few days, you won't see me." She pretended to be angry, but then she smiled softly. "Don't be so serious. I've just been busy with a project. It's almost at the final stage, so everyone's been staying at the office to work. Don't overthink it. Once I finish, I'll spend more time with you." While speaking, she changed into her house slippers at the entrance. "You've always wanted to go to Xicheng, right? Next month, I'll take a half-month leave and go with you. How about that?" Before I could say anything, the door slammed shut with a loud bang. "Next month, Emily. There won't be a next month for us." The following week, I didn't see Emily at all. She came home while I was away during the day to grab some clothes. I never inquired about her whereabouts, but Ben's social media posts became more and more frequent. There were pictures of Emily making soup for him. There were photos of Emily, drunk, nervously singing love songs for him on stage. There were images of Emily wearing a light, airy dress, dancing gracefully just to make him smile. Each post was a blatant display of Emily's passionate love for him. I never liked or commented on any of them. I simply pretended I hadn't seen them. I had more important things to do. With only 1 week left before I left the country, I needed to erase all traces of myself in this house. On the first day, while Emily was making health soup for Ben, I threw the nutrition plan I had personally designed for her into the shredder. On the second day, while Emily blushed and sang love songs for Ben at a bar, I burned every letter we had written to each other. On the third day, while Emily kissed Ben under the moonlight, I threw our wedding rings into the sea. On the day I left, Emily appeared by my bedside, looking exhausted. "Chris, why does it feel like there's less and less stuff around here?" I looked at her, my tone indifferent. A little decluttering makes the house cleaner and more organized. Some things that no longer serve a purpose should be removed sooner, rather than later. She knew I was talking about the garbage, but a hint of panic still flashed across her face. She took my arm and smiled. "You've worked so hard these years, not only at work but also taking care of me and the house. Once I finish this project, I'll make it up to you." At that moment, my phone buzzed with a message. Emily asked, "What's been successfully processed?" My heart skipped a beat upon hearing her question. I grabbed my phone, quickly locked the screen, and turned it face down on the bed. Luckily, I had changed the screen lock password, so Emily could only see a few words. I pretended like nothing had happened and casually said, "Nothing important. There's a new dessert shop near the community. I thought their products looked good, so I signed up for a membership. I'll get you some small cakes next time." Emily seemed to relax, lying in my arms and asking coquettishly, "Guess what I brought you?" I froze for a moment, then casually replied, "That chicken wrap from Chengku." Emily's eyes widened with surprise. "Baby, how did you know?" How could I not know? Back in university, Emily used to attend various club activities, and inevitably, she would have physical contact with male classmates. I'd get upset and jealous, and to make me happy, she once missed 3 buses just to buy me that chicken wrap. When she appeared with the warm chicken wrap in her hands, I instantly softened. She cupped my face, her eyes filled with affection. "My Chris is such a little food lover. You're so easy to please. Just a few small buns and you're happy." I pretended to be angry, puffing out my cheeks. "It's not that I'm easy to please, it's that I love you and am willing to give you an easy way out. If one day I stop loving you, even if you dug out your heart and gave it to me, I wouldn't look at you," I added. Now, she still tried to soften my heart with the same trick, but I wasn't willing to give her that chance anymore. Emily cautiously pulled out the thermal container with the chicken wrap from behind her, offering it to me as if it were a treasure. "I knew nothing could escape your food-loving eyes. You came running as soon as you smelled it." I looked at her eyes, full of tenderness, and gave a bitter smile. "You really can't hide anything from me." It seemed like my words had hit a nerve. Emily lowered her gaze, flustered. "Chris, Seeing her flustered expression, I suddenly found it a bit amusing. I took the thermal container from her hands and placed it on the bedside table. Then I pulled out a beautifully wrapped gift box from the drawer and handed it to her. Her face lit up with surprise. "What's this?" Just as she was about to open it, I stopped her. "This is a gift for our 8th wedding anniversary. Wait until then to open it. If you open it now, there won't be any surprise." Emily nodded and kissed my cheek lightly. "Okay, I'll listen to you. I'll keep it and open it when the day comes." Suddenly, she realized something was off and asked, "Our anniversary is in 2 days. Why are you giving it to me early?" I replied indifferently, "I just didn't want you to be too busy and not have time to give it to you." Emily spoke with a hint of apology. "Wait for me a little longer. I'll be done soon, and then I'll stay by your side every day." Not wanting to watch her perform her fake act, I stood up and went to the bathroom to freshen up. When I came out, Emily had already changed into a turquoise mermaid skirt. Her makeup was meticulously done, and she looked lively and beautiful. I glanced at her. "What event are you attending today?" She took a necklace, an expensive one that my mother had gifted her when we got married, and asked me to help her put it on. It was delicate and valuable, the kind of necklace she had only worn once, on our wedding day. She noticed the confusion in my eyes through the mirror and explained, "I'm going to the birthday party of the leadership from the client company. For important occasions, one should always dress more grandly." But I had just seen on Ben's latest post that today was his birthday. I smiled lightly and responded, "It's indeed an important day, so you should dress grandly." Perhaps she picked up on my insinuation. She turned around and rushed into my arms. "I promise I won't drink too much tonight. I'll come back early to keep you company. Is that okay?" I gently pushed her away, forcing a smile. "Okay, go ahead. Don't be late for your business." When Emily saw my smile, she finally relaxed. She put on her high heels and swayed her slim waist as she left. Watching Emily walk downstairs, I let out a long sigh, wiped away the tears at the corner of my eyes, and turned to grab my suitcase. I took one last look around the house, the one I had lived in for 8 years. This time I was saying a final goodbye. I took out my phone and took screenshots of all the social media posts Ben had posted in the past few weeks, all those visible only to me, and sent them to Emily. "I actually learned French for you during the first year you were abroad. Unfortunately, I'll never get to use it. I agree with your wish to become Ben's wife. May you both grow old together." After doing all of this, I took out my SIM card and threw it, along with the box of chicken wraps, into the trash, then left without looking back. From that moment on, Emily had completely lost me. After a long journey, I finally arrived in Country A, where I was about to start my new life. There was no love here, only work. I would become the person I wanted to be and live for myself from now on. This time, I was here as a core member of the technical team, preparing for a 5-year research project. Meanwhile, back at home, Emily attended Ben's birthday party. She took out a beautifully wrapped small gift box and presented him with a talisman for peace. "I know you lack nothing, so I prayed to the gods for your well-being and a smooth future. I even knelt 3 times to ask for it. This favor is heavier than anything else." As soon as she finished speaking, Ben pulled her tightly into his arms, almost as if he wanted to merge her into his body. The atmosphere was at its peak when he lowered his head to kiss her lips, but this time she didn't feel the usual thrill. Instead, she felt distracted, a dull pain in her heart, as if something was about to happen. She hastily pushed him away and ran to the bathroom. Looking at herself in the mirror, she felt a bit dazed. As long as she hid it well enough, Chris wouldn't find out. Besides, when she went to the temple for the talisman, she had also prayed for Chris. Her love for him was no less than her love for Ben. She comforted herself with this thought, but deep down she began to feel increasingly uncertain. "What's wrong with you today? You're not in a good mood," Ben asked from behind, wrapping his arms around her tightly. He rested his head in her neck, greedily inhaling her scent, his hands wandering across her body. Only when her dress loosened did she snap back to reality and push him away. "Stop. I need to get home early tonight. I promised Chris." Ben's eyes reddened. "But today is my birthday. Can you stay with me just this last time? I promise I won't see you again unless you allow it." A single tear that slipped down her skin, soft and tingling, unsettled her more than his passionate kiss. She was lost again. An hour later, after fixing her makeup that had been messed up by Ben's kisses and taking a hot shower to rid herself of his scent, she drove home. She opened the door to an eerily quiet house. "Chris," she called loudly, but the only response was the chilling silence. At that moment, she panicked for the first time. She turned on all the lights in the house and saw the unopened chicken wrap in the trash bin. Her legs wobbled slightly. She broke down and shouted, "Chris, stop playing games! Come out! I know it's my fault. I promised I would come back early today, and I broke my promise again. I swear it won't happen again. Please, come out!" But all that greeted her was silence. No, Chris wouldn't leave her. He must have just wanted to punish her a little. That's why he was hiding. Emily repeated this reassurance to herself until her gaze fell on the gift box on the table. Forgetting what Chris had said about waiting 2 days to open it, she tore open the wrapping paper in a frenzy. Inside, she found 2 divorce papers, already signed by him. He hadn't asked for anything, just his freedom, leaving with nothing. She gripped the thin sheets of paper tightly, her knuckles turning white, and her body trembled uncontrollably, almost losing her balance. How could this be possible? Chris loved her so much. How could he suddenly want a divorce? Emily couldn't understand. She had hidden everything so well. He couldn't have found out. She was as anxious as a cat on a hot tin roof, pacing back and forth in the room. Summoning all her courage, she took out her phone, intending to call Chris to explain. But as soon as she turned off airplane mode, a flood of messages from Chris appeared. She could no longer bear it and collapsed to the ground. He had learned French a long time ago. That meant he had heard everything she had said to Ben, all the ambiguous words spoken right in front of him. The thought of it tore Emily apart. What must Chris have felt, staying by her side, hearing his wife speak intimately with another man? How painful must that have been? She couldn't continue thinking about it. It felt as though a pair of strong hands were tightening around her neck, making it impossible to breathe. Frantically, she searched for traces Chris might have left behind. Opening a drawer, she found a thick photo album. Maybe if she relied on memories, she could move him, and then she would have a chance to win him back. But the scene in front of her pushed her deeper into despair. The album, filled with over 1,000 photos and all the memories with Chris, was gone, disappeared. Now she finally understood. Chris was really gone. He didn't want her anymore. Emily dug her nails into the palm of her hand, the sharp pain briefly restoring her rationality. She used every connection she had, checking the airline's exit records, and even swallowed her pride to beg the leaders at Chris's company for his whereabouts, but came up empty-handed. She forced herself to stay calm, scouring every place he could have gone, but there was still no news. Chris's parents had died in a car accident 3 years ago. He had no family left but himself. Where could he possibly go? An hour later, she received news from the airport. There was no exit record for Chris today. She was engulfed in overwhelming sadness. This time she had to accept it. She would never find him again. She couldn't even say the words, "I'm sorry," in time. Holding the thin divorce papers in her hands, she traced Chris's signature with her fingers, the pain almost unbearable. Her tears blurred her vision until the wetness soaked the paper, revealing another line of writing. Under the shimmering moonlight, the water ripples, just like my longing, boundless, invisible. An eternal promise turned into a bubble in an instant. Emily understood then. She had completely hurt Chris, and he would never come back. The room seemed to spin around her, and she fainted, not knowing how long it had been before she groggily came to. She forced herself not to think about the painful things that had caused him so much heartache. But the image of Chris, heartbroken and leaving her, kept replaying in her mind. He must have known everything she had done. How had he been able to stay by her side all this time? Chris, who had always lacked a sense of security, had such high expectations of love. On the day they confirmed their relationship, he had said, "I will always be loyal to love. If you ever betray me, I will leave without hesitation, and never look back." At that time, Emily had thought the same. She would love only Chris, and would never do anything to hurt him. But when had everything started to unravel? It probably began the year she went abroad. Alone in a foreign country, she felt lonely and helpless. It was during this time that she met her university classmate, Ben. They spent a lot of time together and eventually developed feelings for each other, crossing a line they shouldn't have. She had gradually forgotten her original intentions and had gone further down the wrong path. She had convinced herself that as long as she hid everything well, Chris wouldn't find out. As long as she treated him with sincerity when she returned, everything would stay buried abroad. But she never expected that Ben would follow her back to the country. Caught between her love for Chris and her attachment to Ben, she kept jumping back and forth between the two. Eventually, the truth could no longer be hidden. How could Chris, so perceptive, not have noticed the signs? Just as she was thinking about this, her phone buzzed with a few delayed messages, all from Chris's number. Excited, she opened the messages, expecting to see something soft, a sign that he might want to make amends. But instead, the content left her unable to accept it. Her hands trembled so much she could barely hold the phone. She swiped through the screen, seeing post after post from Ben's social media. Every single thing they had done together, Chris had already seen. The photos, the provocative words. Emily couldn't breathe. Furious, she called Ben. "Why did you tell Chris everything? Don't you know how important he is to me?" There was a pause on the other end before Ben's hoarse voice responded. "I know he's important to you, but you're just as important to me. I only love you so much. Is it wrong to want you to stay with me forever?" Emily froze. For the first time, she felt Ben's love felt like a heavy chain, suffocating her. "Ben," she said coldly, "I warned you. I won't allow you near Chris. Who do you think you are? You made me lose him, and now you'll never have peace either." The more Emily thought about it, the angrier she became. She drove straight to Ben's place, furiously banging on the door. Ben was unsurprised to see her and smiled as he let her in. But before he could react, she slapped him hard across the face. Before he could even process what had happened, Emily said through gritted teeth, "Ben, I never imagined you were such a shameless man. You pretend to love me, but you've done nothing but hurt me. You're disgusting!" As soon as she finished speaking, Emily raised her hand again, intending to slap him once more, but he caught her wrist, pulling her into his arms. "I'm sorry, Emily. I love you so much. I can't stand the thought of sharing you with anyone. Please, believe me, I did it because I love you. I don't think I did anything wrong." Emily sneered. "I thought I loved you, but after Chris left me, I realized I've always only loved him. You were just a passing rainstorm. When the rain stops, so does everything between us." Ben's eyes turned red as he gripped Emily's shoulders, looking at her in disbelief. "So, you never loved me at all?" Without hesitation, just as she had before, Emily blurted out, "To me, you were just a fleeting novelty." Ben gave a bitter laugh. "I gave up my job abroad to come back here and be with you, and now you're telling me you never loved me?" Emily looked at the man who had caused her to lose the one she truly loved, and felt disgusted. "Yes, not only do I not love you, but I also want you to pay for your actions. I know how important your job is to you, but don't forget, if it weren't for me recommending you, you would never have had the opportunity to work at Panda Group." Ben's eyes widened, and a hint of fear flashed across his face. "What are you going to do?" "I can give you this job, and I can just as easily make you lose everything. This is your just punishment." Seeing that Emily was determined, Ben gave up pretending. "Emily, you really disgust me. Back then, it was you who shamelessly slept with me, and now you're putting on an act of deep emotion. Who are you trying to fool?" "What?" Emily was stunned, unable to believe these words were coming from Ben. Ben ignored her shock and continued, "You couldn't keep your boundaries and cheated on me. You should have known this day would come. I was just helping you out behind the scenes. The real culprit is you, and you have no one to blame but yourself." Each word Ben spoke made Emily's face grow paler. "And there's something you probably don't know. After I returned to the country and we met for the first time, Chris came to see me. He begged me to leave you. I bet him that you wouldn't leave me, and of course he lost." Emily's head spun as though struck by lightning. She fled from Ben's house in a daze. The series of blows to her heart were too much for her to bear. Once outside, her body instinctively reacted with nausea. She collapsed by the roadside, sobbing uncontrollably, her appearance completely disregarded. The following months, Emily did everything she could to search for any trace of Chris, but it was as though he had completely disappeared from the world. The long period of stress, combined with her depression, eventually caused her to fall ill. Meanwhile, after losing his job, Ben left South City. Word was that things weren't going well for him. 5 years later, in Country A, our team had finally completed this monumental research project, and it was time to apply for our return to the homeland. My mentor asked, "Are you still planning to go back? If not, I can help you apply to stay here." I shook my head. It's been 5 years. It's time to go home. Upon returning to China, our organization awarded us the highest honor. Major media outlets reported on us, and in no time, we became celebrities both at home and abroad. Amid the crowd, I spotted Emily at first glance. In my memory, her eyes were always bright, filled with the pride of youth, but now she was dressed in a plain, dark green puffer jacket, dark circles under her eyes, her expression weary. There was no light in her gaze anymore, as if her once vibrant energy was on the verge of disappearing. Tears welled in her eyes as she stood at a distance, silently mouthing, "I'm sorry." After the interview, she made her way through the crowd and unsteadily approached me, her sobs preceding her words. Tears fell from her eyes in heavy drops. The fragile, petite woman seemed as if she might shatter at any moment. I looked at her indifferently. Not a single ripple of emotion stirred within me. Time, indeed, was the best remedy. Fearing her sobs would attract attention, I silently allowed her to get into my car. She took the tissue I handed her, her crying subsiding. Trembling, she said, "I thought I would never see you again. I'm so glad I can still see you." She reached out to touch my face, but I turned my head away, avoiding her touch. I pushed up the gold-rimmed glasses resting on the bridge of my nose, my expression serious and distant, exuding a faint sense of detachment. She seemed to sense something was wrong, and quickly withdrew her hand. "Did you come to see me just to have a look?" I broke the silence, my tone neutral, revealing no emotions. She sniffled, her small frame seeming to carry a world of grievances. She looked like she wanted to tell me all the suffering she had endured over the years. But I had no patience to hear it. I glanced at the watch on my wrist, and my voice was as cold as ice. "You have 10 minutes. I have things to do, and I don't have time to sit here reminiscing with you." Hearing this, she finally stopped crying. "I want to explain the things that happened back then. I know I was wrong. I've completely ended things with Ben. These years I've suffered from severe depression while searching for you. I couldn't sleep at night. I really got my comeuppance. Can you forgive me? I really do love you. Without you, I can't live." Looking at the woman before me, filled with longing, I only found it laughable. "You don't really love me or can't bear to lose me. You just can't accept that someone who loved you for 20 years no longer does. It's like losing a dog you've raised for years. It's not easy to get used to, let alone someone who has been by your side for so long. So don't tell me you love me. The person who truly loves me would never do the things that hurt me. Only after losing something do you begin to cherish it. But that's just because of your unwillingness to let go." She froze, as if finally having her lies exposed. Her head lowered and she spoke sincerely. "I know no matter what I say, you won't believe me anymore. I made mistakes, and I should bear the consequences. I'm not here to seek your forgiveness. I just wanted to see you one last time. I know there's a gap between us. You are like the shining star in the sky, while I've already rotted in the mud. I don't dare to wish for anything. I just hope you'll be happy. This time it's really goodbye, Chris." With those words, she opened the car door and stepped out. As she walked farther away, I gave a faint smile and drove off. And we never met again.